Hello. Hey, you guys. So, what a busy Monday. Wow. Um, so I have a little something for you, though, and a little later than normal. Uh, I like to do this early in the morning, usually around 9 o'clock, but the day just really got away from me, and so here I am. Here we are. Here it is, and what I want to speak about is the term "my," and it's a big deal when it dawns on us, and for some of you it might be really strange, but when it dawns on us that we are not our thoughts. So notice how you say, I say often, I think I say this less, but it's really easy. It's habitual to say my thoughts, or I was thinking, or my mind. And so we take ownership of a possession of it, and we actually think that all of our thoughts are ours, or that we are our thoughts, or we are our mind. And so just imagine for a minute that there's the observer, which we've talked about lots before, that we all have, this part of us that's watching us. We are watching ourselves. So this part of us that's watching even our mind, is watching our thoughts. And it actually, you know that part well, because sometimes they break out in an argument. I think I'll do this. No, you won't. You can't do that. That's crazy. And these conversations happen inside of us. So there's at least two of you in there. And so who's arguing with who? Who's arguing with who? So just imagine, though, that your thoughts are not you, and that in some way we're addicted to our thinking. We think that we are our thoughts, and mostly that's all I want to leave you with today, is this idea of letting go of the ownership of our thoughts or our mind, and recognize that our mind actually doesn't have any reservoir of thinking other than the thinking that's been come together as a result of our conditioning, our belief systems, and our fears, our wants. So it's just a conglomerate of things, ideas of who we are, who we want to be, who we're not. And from there, we distill out this pattern of thinking. And the beginning of freedom from that, and some of us may not want freedom from that. We may be just perfectly happy with the way things are. But for many of us, it isn't even a question of wanting freedom from that. We have to have freedom from that. We're like, show me the way out of this trap I'm in, of my mind, of the mind, of the thoughts, of our crazy thinking, of the ideas that we can't trust, of our context of life, which is often not enough, or I'm not good enough, or you can't trust them, you can't trust me. All of those things that are in there that no matter what we do, we can't seem to change on our own. So the first step in getting free is recognizing that it's there and that it's been running the show. And the idea that we're running our own show is a fallacy, but it's a deep one. It's a really deep one. It's like we think we are running our own show. But we're not. We're not, because we're so concerned about how we look, what people will think, all this bullshit. So recognize that as stuff comes up, it's not you. Even if you think it's you and you want to change it, you know, we judge it, and just let it go. Imagine that the mind is just like an immature child who has access to your attention whenever it wants, who often runs the show, an immature child who has access to you whenever it wants, says just about whatever it wants. We haven't exerted any authority, and the truth is, for the most part, most of us don't have any authority. So we need to rely on a higher authority. God, as we understand it, or a higher power, universal intelligence. But we can't surrender to that intelligence, and I think, until we really see that how we're running the show isn't working. And when we realize that how we're running the show isn't working, then we can go, wow, okay. Not only is this not working, but it's not really me that's doing it. It's it's just my belief systems. So that could happen. You can surrender all of that. Okay, that's it. So my daily reading, late as it is, I don't think I've ever been this late, maybe. July 20th, thought for the day. This guy, remember, this book was written in 1954, and some of you like it, even though it's got old language and it's got musts. It says, you mean must. And it's actually, in some ways, talking to that ego, as opposed to, as if we can correct our life from the ego. But sometimes in his writing, though, he really hits it on the nail that we, on our own, left to our own devices, we really can't manage. Ego will say, you're doing good enough, David. You're doing good enough. And I'm here to tell you that there's so much available for us if we are living in our full potential. So much if we're living in our full potential. So how would you like to live in your full potential? Okay? How would you like to live in your full potential? Here we go. We must be loyal to the group and to each member of it. So this is talking about Alcoholics Anonymous, AA. And this book was written for AA 19 years after Dr. Bob sobered up. We must be loyal to the group and to each member of it. We must never accuse a member behind his back, or even to his face. It's up to him to tell us himself if anything's wrong. It's up to him to tell himself if anything's wrong. More than that, we must try not to think bad things about any member. Because if we do, we're consciously or unconsciously hurting that person. We're consciously or unconsciously hurting that person with our thoughts. How powerful the thoughts can be. And they're not even our thoughts. It's just crazy thinking. Hi, Kathy Lynn. Late today. We must be loyal to each other. If AA is going to be successful, while we're in this lifeboat, trying to save ourselves and save others from alcoholism, we must be truly and sincerely helpful to each other. Am I a loyal member of my group? Nicely written. That was the thought for the day. Meditation for the day. Carry out God's guidance as best as you can. Leave the results up to Him. Do this obediently and faithfully with no question. Do this obediently and faithfully with no question, that if the working out of the guidance is left in God's hands, the results will be all right. All right? He says all right. It's left up to God, the results will be fantastic. What is he talking about? The results will be all right. More than all right. Stupendous. Believe that the guidance God gives you has already been worked out by God to produce the required results according to your case and in your circumstances. So he's basically saying everything that's needed is there already there for us. So follow God's guidance according to your conscience. God has knowledge of your individual life and character, your capabilities and your weaknesses. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may live according to the dictates of my conscience. I pray that I may leave the results up to God. So languaging, he calls it conscience. And intuition is another word for it. But he calls it conscience. That connection, that knowing in each moment what to follow. So self-awareness, awareness of ourselves, self-realization, comes to mind. To in the very beginning, to recognize that we cannot manage our own lives, that our own thinking gets us in trouble. How many times have we had what seemed like an intuition and said no out of fear? I think we say yes. Say yes. And even if things don't work out the way we think they're supposed to, just be in the yes. Better to risk. Make that phone call, right? Risk reaching out for help. Risk reaching out to help others. Way better to risk than to say no. Ego says no. Ego's so careful. Ego's afraid. But when we're working with a loving relationship with a higher power, there's nothing to fear. Fear leaves us. It's not even like we can say there's nothing to fear. It literally leaves us. It's gone. Okay, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, Jennifer. I was awfully late today. I had a staff meeting at the treatment center, and I've never really been to a staff meeting. It's it was interesting to be there and be with the crew. I thought it was going to be maybe an hour or 2 hours. Turned into 5 hours. It was good though. Okay, love you guys, and remember, we are not our thoughts. Thank you. Peace, baby. We are not our thoughts, right? And so when we say my thoughts or my mind, we're not our mind. We are something so much more, so beyond that. Okay? Love you guys. Tonight, love it if you come. We're going to have our little meditation here at 7 o'clock. Or if not, I'll see you online. We'll be doing it on Zoom. It would be nice to have you drop into the Zoom call. I'll send out a notice shortly. Okay, love you lots. Cheers.